Well, welcome everybody. Appreciate you guys being here this afternoon. We are delighted and honored to be able to have Jolene Moore with us again. This presentation today is how to keep your clients loyal from when you initially make contact with them to all the way through when they become a client. So anyway, I will have a couple of things that I'll mention at the end, but let's go ahead and get started, Jolene, for the sake of it's on early. So.
Okay. All right. So thank you, Dave. So first, I would love for everyone that is on to be able to just put their name in the chat box so that we like to try to track who is here, because sometimes, like you can see, there's like numbers and things like that. So we want to just be able to know who attended, because it helps me with my follow-up for after the class. So if you could take a minute to do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And then towards the end of the webinar, I'm going to actually also ask you guys for some ideas, some sharing of ideas. So I want you to kind of know where that chat box is so that you have the ability to go to that to share some ideas. Okay, so what is today is, and also I apologize, I'm under the weather, so my voice is a little off as well. But what I'm going to go over today, last month I taught a webinar as well as a face-to-face on how to generate leads. So it's 50 ways to generate leads without breaking the bank. So now this month what I'm teaching is basically once you've now generated those leads, tracking them and then following up with them. So this is how to keep your clients loyal, basically how to keep them staying with you after you've now gotten the lead. How do you stay in touch with them to make sure that they stay with you and don't go elsewhere? Because it's one thing to generate the leads, which is very important, but one of the most important things is then the conversion. You want to make sure that you're converting them and keeping them with you so that you actually execute and earn the business. Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is the lead tracker. I've used this many different times in some presentations that I do with Cindy, and this is a document that I use. It's always on my desk, as you can see here. I have it in the landscape view instead of horizontal. But what I do is each month I keep we track it by month and year. I keep their name, the code down below. You can see there's codes here where it shows like a CCR, PCR, PC. Those all stand for arms of where the business is coming from. So current client referrals, past clients, personal friends, other realtors that you guys might be working, know in other areas that might be referring you. Ads if you're doing any type of advertising, business relationships that you have, and then any builders that you might have a connection to as well. And so basically what you're wanting to do is, have a goal of how many leads you want a month, and then how many are you going to get from each of those areas each month, and then tracking to make sure that you're reaching your lead goals. And then also it helps you identify, like if you're not getting very many, past client referrals or other types of referrals, where you need to focus to gain additional leads. And then you're tracking, how many of those leads do you actually convert into listings, into buyers, and that conversion ratio. So this is one of the, most important things. So then once you have this, right, so what do you do with them now? If they're not a lead that's hot and they're ready to move right now, where do you go from there? So what my team and I are working on is, for us, it's a pre-qualification to contract follow-up plan. For you, it would be from an initial contact to contract, from getting their initial conversation that you might have with them, and then getting them to move forward with either, selling their home and having a listing agreement, or with them getting under contract to purchase a home. So what my team and I did is we looked at, last year over a period of 4 months, we looked at when we talked to the client initially to when they actually went to closing, and how many days did it take for them to normally convert. And so what we figured out is about 43 days. So we're doing a follow-up plan for 40, and convert meaning like to where now we're under contract, or we're moving forward, in whatever manner that is. So basically, we've created a follow-up plan over a 43-day period. So what I would suggest for you is looking, and hopefully you guys are tracking this information. If you're not, you may need to just start with a generic number, and then as you're tracking it, start to tweak this and really redefine it to fit within what's working in your business. So what we did is we've created a follow-up plan for 43 days. So I'm not touching base with them every day, but I have a plan basically for the first week. I'm touching with them, about 3 or 4 times, and then it's every week after that in different ways. So I'm going to go over with you guys basically how we're touching base with them and how we are reconnecting, staying connected with them, and using different ways of touching beyond just, phone calls. What you also want to do is see below is then when you after you take them, have them on that lead tracker and you've gotten the lead, then you choose, you're not going to put everyone in this, right? Because it could potentially either be overwhelming or, there's a little bit of cost here, but not too much, but more just the management of it. So what you're wanting to look at is, and if you're getting started or you don't have a lot of leads, then you would put everyone on here. For me, I get about 50 leads a month or so as my average each month. So I'm going to probably make sure that I know for sure that these clients they're well qualified. They're going to, they're very, I've gotten their information. They seem very committed to working with me, although, there's no given on that. So, that's something you want to think about is who are you going to be putting down on this follow-up plan? And then putting their information. This is an Excel document that we have, which I'm happy to share with anyone that is interested in having it. And then you guys just update the top part to fit within your plan of what you guys want to do. So then we put in their information down below, and then we're going to track them, day 1, day 2, ongoing, day 3, so that we make sure that we're putting this in. The other thing to try and make it automated, there's a couple things you can do. One, if you have a CRM, you could try to create a campaign. If our CRM allows you to modify campaigns, and you could make it where at least it sends you a task. You choose the campaign when they go into the CRM, and then they notify you, when these days are occurring after you've put it into the CRM, so that it's something that pops up and reminds you. We're also looking into a Google Doc form that can help us do that as well. So there's various ways. If you only have a few, it's not something that's going to be as hard to manage, but as you start to increase and add more to it, there's ways to try and automate it so that it's not as cumbersome in that way. So day 1, what I would highly recommend is if you don't already have this, you can see the card there that we have created. We did this through Instaprint. It's a fairly inexpensive card. So you can see that's the part where I write. It has my logo and then has all my contact information down below, which means I don't have to include a business card. It makes it a little less formal, and in the sense they don't feel like I'm only sending them a card because I just want to send them my business information, because it's in the card. On the back of the card, there's a blank space. So here's a card I have here on my desk that I wrote, a thank you card. On the back here is an empty space. We're working on creating labels for different sayings that we want to say here. So based on who I'm sending the card to, the label will have a different message, meaning either asking them for a referral or something like that. So I would definitely suggest that you get cards printed up with your information to make it a little bit more easy for you to be able to get those cards or those notes out. So what you want to do is then be able to, call day 1, thank them for the meeting. Whenever you meet with them, after leaving my office, or if you've met them at the coffee shop, or if you met them at their office, just call them 15 minutes after you've left them, thanking them, and honoring them for, giving them the time to meet with them and to get to know them, and then send them a thank you card that same day. So they're going to get it very quickly, so that they, it's not like several days after you've met with them. So you send them the card and you make the call. That's day 1. Sorry. And then day 3, this is when you want to think about creating videos. So here is a video, one that we have, like if you're doing a home ownership. So for instance, I'm doing a homeownership class with a realtor in December. So if you want to schedule homeownership classes, with a lender or a title company, you can get those organized so that when you're, you want to have events kind of in the work so that you have reasons to follow up with people and to invite them to things. So if you have a homeownership class, I'm doing a client appreciation event this month. So we are we are renting out a movie theater and showing the movie Frozen 2 later this month. So it gives me a good reason to be able to reach out to people and invite them to the event. Also do a video to send to them and invite them to the event. Or do a video that says, tell them 3 things about you. And what you want to potentially do is have these videos pre-recorded. Now, like if it's an event or something like that, you can pre-record it and just make it, generic in the sense it's not to a specific person, but it's just about your event. And then what you can do is, I use BombBomb, which is a video service that's pretty easy to do. And great thing about BombBomb is you can go in and upload these videos, and then you can schedule for them to go out. So you can go in and say, as soon as this person, you get a new lead, you can go right into BombBomb, create a video, have the video in there, create an email, sending it to that person and say, I want it to go out on this day and this day. So you can pre-schedule it so it's not something you're having to remember and go do later. So if you have these videos pre-recorded, that would be able to allow you to do that. The other way you can do it, a cheap way, is YouTube. So like this, for instance, the picture on here that shows Class 101 home ownership. She's using, my marketing person has used I think it's called Canva, to put those words across the screen. So it would go into an email, and then they would click on that, and it would take them to the YouTube video. So there's different ways. YouTube, is of course great because it's cheap. The thing with BombBomb is it does give you the analytics, so you know when people open it, and you know how long they watched it and that type of thing. Of course, on YouTube, you can look at the views, so it can kind of give you an idea, how many people are watching it. So day 3, you want to have videos in place that you're going to be able to send out to them to be able to connect with them. All right, so then day 10, I'm sorry, now we're jumping to day 10. You could potentially send like a gift card, like a gas card. They're going to be looking, they're going to be driving around and looking at homes, or a scratch-off lottery ticket. So we keep those in our, buy about 20 at a time, keep these in my desk, so when I'm sending out cards or, thanking people or various reasons, I can send them a scratch-off lottery ticket. And again, like I was showing you, on the back of this card, you could have like a label printed that said, hope you win big, and I'm here to, to help you, either way. Like for me, it's hope you win big and you don't need me, but if you don't, I'm here to help you finance. For you, no matter if they won big or not, they'd still need a realtor to help them find the home. So that's one thing you can think about doing, is a lottery ticket to connect with them on day 10. And then day 15 is you could send and ask them to fill out a all about you form. So this is a form that we've created, and I think this is super helpful for realtors because you don't always get all this as much information from them as I do, like their birthdays, their spouse's names, if they're not on the contract, what the spouse's birthday is, things like that. So this is a way for you to be able to learn more about them. And then this is what you want to be able to take that information and then put it into your CRM. So when in the future, when you're doing some follow-ups, like say we're doing this over a 43-day period and they still don't move forward, you still want to be staying in touch with them. So this all about you form is going to give you, information to be able to know when to follow up, like what's their favorite team, charity, whatever. And if you see anything that's happening, like if they're a Nats fan, or Patriots, they just lost their first game last night, things like that, it will give you reasons to be able to follow up with them. I call everybody on their birthday, and I try to share the information when it's a realtor that I work with, and share their birthday information with the realtor so the realtor can follow up as well. We've created a birthday program as a way to stay in touch. I can't tell you how many times lately I've been calling people on their birthday, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes sense for you to refinance, and we haven't connected yet. But it could be for you, excuse me, finding out on their birthdays that they may be looking to buy in the, in the near future, or they're moving out of the area, or whatever it may be. You can find out so much information when you just reach out to them, and a birthday is a great reason to reach out. And you can see here on this form that it also asks them, do they work with a financial planner? Do they work with a CPA? Do they work with an insurance agent? So if they do, you could then ask them, by asking them, rate them, then you could also use that as a way to have them introduce you to their financial planner, CPA, or insurance person to be able to try and create new relationships and new potential referral partners. So that's day 15. And then day 22, we're going to do more videos. So you could do, I've done a video on tips on how to get your offer accepted. If you have a lender that sent you videos, you could use that. You could do a video just saying you're just thinking about them, explain the process. Like really help them understand, especially if they're first-time home buyers, what is the home buying process is going to entail and what that looks like. And then there's also a video on why should you buy now. It's a little bit later in this presentation, but basically, if you do a return of investment on investment and what it looks like, it's really the best time to buy is always now because you're looking at the return of your investment, and it's going to take time for that investment, the return on the investment. So you want to get started in the process, in that investment so you can start to build that return. So that's a video that we've been sharing as well. So it's something, different things that you can think about of what would you want to share with them on day 22, something about you or something about the process to really show that you're the expert and you're going to be the one that's really guiding them through this process and really helping them so they don't have to worry, that they can feel confident. All right, so day 29, that's when you could do a little gift, right? And it can be an inexpensive gift. It could be a package of s'mores like you see there, a pack of extra gum, and then you want to have a cute little thing that goes along with it. And back to that lottery ticket, if you look on the follow-up plan, I'll show it to you again, just so you can see some of this, is here are some sayings, like we are honored to, you stop by our office, thank you. With a lottery ticket, here's to hoping you get lucky with your search. One of this All About You form, our clients are family, let us learn more about you. And then the videos, be fully prepared, let us know when your offer is put in, write a seller a letter of why your home is, the one that they want. And then the gum, we promise to go the extra mile for you during the loan process. That's what we say, but, there's so many cute little sayings that you can say as part of the process to go I promise to go the extra mile for you during this, the home buying process or when, listing your home. So just think, when a cute little sayings to go along with it. So little gifts like that, you can send at that time. And then day 36, just text them. I've recently heard of a statistic that I think the texts are open like a very high percentage of the time as opposed to emails. And a lot of people, I've been teaching, various classes recently, and one of the things I asked in my last class was, do you like making phone calls? I think one person raised their hand out of 12. So most people don't like calling. I think it's very important, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think texting is a little bit more of an engagement than email. Email used to be my go-to several years ago. That's how I would reach out to people, is send them an email. And then you wait, and you don't know if they read it. They don't know if they saw it. You may never hear from them. So texting, the one thing, if they have this turned on, is you can see if they've read it, which is nice. But also, it seems to a lot more people respond to text than they do emails. So send them a text on day 36. Say, I'm just thinking about you. I'm here when you need me. Let me know. Has anything changed for you? Are you, how? I know you guys can tell when they're looking at searches and stuff like that. You could make a comment about that if you've seen them looking, and just see, is there anything that's, caught your eye, things like that. So that's what you want to do on day 36. And then day 43, my goodness, let me go back to my sheet, is calling. So now, you've gone a lot of days, and you could definitely throw in other things within here, phone calls within that time frame. But this is where you're now calling, sorry, and you want to call and check in. You've texted them, a week before that, see if you got a response. If you didn't, you could basically, say, I hope you got my text. Again, talking about, where are they in the process? Is anything changed for them since you guys initially spoke? Things like that. And then when you go back to this presentation, there's other things in here that you can think about to include. Like if those ideas I just gave you don't really speak to you and you feel like, not really sure those are me, there's other things that you can be including, like 6 steps to financial freedom, teaching them how to use a budget, things like that. You could send that out one time during this. This is a really cute, like Bernstein Bear's moving book. This is something I would use. This was a potential day 36 that we replaced and just did the All About You form in a different way, or an item from the All About You form. So on day 36, you could send them a book, or you could now send them, you got the All About You form back and you know what their favorite candy is, or their favorite dessert. You could pop by and see them, drop by a dessert or a candy or something like that. And the moving day book, I think, is cute when you actually are under contract and you know that they're going to be moving, because that book is a little expensive. So that's something you really want to be under contract before you make that investment. But I think it's a really cute thing to add into the process. One thing I'll tell you that we do when we're under contract, 2 weeks prior to closing, we actually send them a box that has packing tape, labels, a Sharpie, scissors, a few other little things that basically they need when they start to pack. And then we want you to be able to, help you along that way. So we send that out to them 2 weeks prior to closing. I can't tell you how many people, many clients always tell me how cute it is and also how much they appreciate it. So people like getting gifts. And there's ways to do it where it's not super costly. We order a lot of that stuff in bulk, like on Amazon or Costco and things like that. So you can do it in a fairly inexpensive way. But some of these things you'll want to wait until you're actually, under a contract before you do it. This is back to where we gave the idea of extra gum. We're going to go to the extra mile. Financial planning, reasons to buy a home. You could do a video on that. You could put together and find a newsletter that goes over it, an article that goes over it. One thing that's really nice to do with videos too is reference an article like on, in a newspaper or on a website or something like that, and then include the link in the video or in the email when you send the video of taking them to that, because it's showing you that you're very current, that you know what's happening in the market, and here's some information to think about. So if there's, all kinds of different things always written about the real estate market, but if you did a video sharing some of that information and then using that as a follow-up and a touch point with them, that can be super helpful. And this is the email, that the video I was telling you about, why should you buy now and not wait? So thinking about, creating that information as well, and creating a video to go over that and showing them like the return on investment, and what that looks like for them. And so one of the other things is, this is like, these are touch points that are set in stone, right? That you want to make sure that you're doing to really make sure you have a formulated process of staying in touch with them. But like I mentioned, you also can call them at any point, right? Because say you sent them the gum and you want to follow up and say, hey, I just want to make sure you guys got it, or, something, just connecting with them. But a lot of, like I mentioned to you in the class that I did recently, one of the things that I asked was, about making the phone calls, and a lot of them just don't know what to say. And so here's a script that you can think about when you call people. Asking them the Ford script. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it, but it's something that people forget about. But thinking about asking them about their family, their occupation, recreation, and dreams. So when you call somebody, you can always ask them, like, how's the family doing? Has anything changed? If you remember their kids, what's so-and-so doing now? Are they in college? Are they in high school? Talk about their job and what their dream vacation looks like, various things like that. So there's ways to have conversation and to be able to ask them questions to find out more details of what you think, to kind of give you an idea and give you an insight into what may be happening for them in the future. If they're talking about their job, that they may be getting transferred, and that they probably are going to have to sell their house. If they're downsizing, all their kids are now in college, or they've graduated from college and they really don't need that big home anymore, and they may be looking to do something else. Or they've had a new baby and now they need to have more bedrooms. So when you ask them these questions, it's asking them about them, so it helps you really get to know them more, but it's also giving you insight into what potential things that they may be needing, and in how you could potentially help them. It also can help you to be a resource, so if if they talk about, like, the house, they've been having some issues, of plumbing or electricity or something like that, electrical issues, then you can be a resource to refer them to somebody that can potentially help them. Because what you really want to do, and this is something that I'm really striving for, is to be a resource in various aspects of the process, so that they think of you no matter what they may need. No matter if it's just selling or buying, but anything that they may need, you want them to think of you, because that means that you're going to be more top of mind when it does come time to, looking to actually buy or list their home. So that is overall, just that, this is 30 minutes, and I know we did get started a little late, so I talked a little fast. But this is just an overview of follow-up plan that you can use to be able to stay in touch with your clients. Like I said, I'm happy to share that Excel spreadsheet so that you guys can modify it to whatever works for you, and be able to use it as a tracking system. What I also would like to do, I'm doing an in-person class of this later in the month, next week, I believe. And so it's going to be, some of that class is also going to be brainstorming. So I gave you some ideas of what I'm doing, but what I'd love to hear is either what are other people doing, or what are things that you guys have thought of and you just haven't put into place. So that some of that, that's kind of what I was thinking about the chat room, and we're a little long now, so you guys might need to move on. Think about what some ideas that you could use to put in place of some of the things that I mentioned. Like, what are other ideas that you guys have thought of? We talked about client events. What type of events have you thought about having? What other ways that we can we be following up with them besides the ways that I mentioned? So that's what I would kind of leave you with is as ways. Think about brainstorming for yourself and for your business, and what you can do to do a follow-up. Because the thing is the key, the lead conversion, your conversion rate, is really the most important aspect of your business, is knowing, what your conversion rate is, and then also how are you converting, and having that follow-up plan instead of, a hope and a prayer that they end up working with you. If you have a plan in place to make it actually achieve your conversion ratio, that's going to be key. So I see that there's questions. Is that from Cindy or is that from Dave? I don't know.
That's from me.
That it says,
from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just curious. What is your lead conversion rate, Jolene? And what I know the thing that I like the most about this presentation is the steps that you've created along the way to make that all are very purposeful. But what have you been able to identify which of those steps have improved that the most?
My conversion ratio, what my goal is 30%.
Gotcha. Okay.
So basically, my goal is to close at least 15 deals a month out of the 50 leads that I'm receiving. So I'm shooting for 30%. I would say since I really started tracking it, the biggest thing that's helped me is making phone calls. Right now I'm having a contest with a coaching group that I'm a part of, There's 4 of us, and I'm supposed to call 20 people a day. And I've been doing it for 2 weeks and been consistent where I call 20 people a day. I keep track of it. I have a sheet. Again, it's all about tracking, and I write down what I talk to them about, what do I need to follow up, and if I need to follow up in 2 months, I put it as a task so that it reminds me to do so in a couple months in our CRM. But phone calls are the biggest thing. Client events have been huge. I've been doing those now for almost 3 years, I think for almost 4 actually. And I tell you, so many, even if they don't come, and this is a thing that a lot of people are scared to have them because they're afraid they're not going to come, people aren't going to attend. But even if they don't, they just love the fact that you're doing it. And I can't tell you how many people, like the one that we're having later this month, of course, Frozen is very popular, so we've had a lot of RSVPs for it. I think we already have 140 people coming. Wow. But they all, even if they can't come, all say thank you so much for the invitation and thanks for doing this for us. So when you give back and you're showing them that you're investing in them and that you really care and appreciate it, I think those 2 things are huge. So phone calls and just having a happy hour, having an event at your house or something like that. It doesn't have to be super expensive. There's so many ways to do it, in a cost-effective way. But those are the 2 things that I think one I enjoy a lot too, and then I think it's had a big impact on my business as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because you're having fun with them too, and it's
right. Yeah, and I feel good giving
yeah.
back to them, after them working with me and me earning money off of them. Now I'm saying thank you. Thank you for working with us. And then I let them bring people. So I have the limit, I think, for the movie at 6 people per family. So some of them bring family or friends, and knowing that, I've received many referrals off of it and closed deals off of them coming to my events. So, so that's something to think about too.
Yeah, these are exceptional ideas. They really are. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing them.
Yeah, and does anyone else have any questions or any thoughts on any feedback on the presentation? I would love to hear from you guys and let me know. Do you think it's useful? Can you see yourself doing it? Do you want the information electronically? Any ideas of that I didn't mention that you think would be great to go into that follow-up plan?
Good. Yeah. Any that you guys have used. Well, we don't have people weighing in, so I think we're good to go. So, thank you, Jolene. I really appreciate it. This really is outstanding information, and hopefully we can all put this to use. So,
I hope so. I hope you guys are still here too.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's quite a few that are still.
I'm like, just say hi if you're still on.
Yeah. So awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Jolene. All right.
Thanks, Dave.